It's Thursday, September 4, just days after the September 1 general and regional elections. Now, what's unfolding today in that building behind me, which is GECOM's headquarters in Kingston, is a recount which was requested by a Partnership for National Unity for Subdistrict 4 of Region 4. Now, Region 4 is divided into 4 subdistricts for the purposes of these elections. The subdistricts are the East Bank of Demerara, North Georgetown, South Georgetown, and Subdistrict 4, the East Coast of Demerara. Now, APNU has requested a recount of the ballots cast or the votes cast in Subdistrict 4, East Coast Demerara. And according to GECOM Elections Commission, in a release issued on Wednesday night, that recount is expected or was expected to start at 8 hours Thursday morning. Since we've been out here early this morning, we've seen party representatives, some GECOM staff and other stakeholders go into this venue, and we understand that inside there are about 25 stations set up so that the ballots could be recounted quickly. Now, what happened yesterday, that would be Wednesday, was that declarations for all 10 electoral districts were made. Those declarations show that the incumbent People's Progressive Party, Civic, managed to get the most votes in these elections and therefore would be re-elected to government. That also means that President Dr. Irfanali gets a second term. However, official declarations must come from GECOM, and that official declaration will only come after this recount is complete. So far, this is the only official recount that we other requests for recounts that could be made, but so far we know that only a request for a recount of Subdistrict 4 for the electoral district number 4 has been made. So this morning we'll talk to government-nominated Commissioner Sase Gunraj, who will tell us more about the process unfolding here this morning. Mr. Gunraj, in the first instance, can you tell us what's happening today?
All right, good morning. As you're aware, elections were concluded on Monday, the actual casting of ballots, and in a very peaceful and efficient manner. And before I get to answer your question directly, I want to congratulate the Secretariat of the Elections Commission for the manner in which the polls were conducted very efficiently. And I also want to make the point that as at yesterday afternoon, that is Wednesday afternoon, all the declarations were made. That put us in a position to be able to make a final declaration today. That is to say Thursday. In all the elections in which I have participated, that is the earliest that the Commission was able to do that. You would always remember that the earliest this has happened is perhaps Thursday or Friday. So the efficiency with which the process was conducted is noteworthy, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention that. The reason I'm mentioning that is that the anxiety that is associated with elections needs no gloss. I need not dilate on that. The public at large, myself being a member of that public, all of you being members of the public, are anxious, and the question on everybody's mind is, when are we going to get elections results?
Sure.
This brings me to today's request. By law, a contesting political party is entitled to ask for a recount. So that request was made yesterday. It was received by the chief elections, it was received by the returning officer for the particular district in which the recount was requested, and that request was granted. Now, the request was granted for District 4 of Subdistrict 4 of District 4, which is the east coast of Demerara, it represents 391 boxes. So what that means is that we have to do a recount of 391 boxes. The facilities have been set up in the compound of GECOM headquarters here behind me, and that I already see people there, and it is scheduled to commence at 8 a.m. I hope that it is an efficient process. I hope that it is conducted and with the same efficiency and alacrity with which the elections were conducted and in which the declarations were made. But importantly, I need to speak about the rationale, perhaps, or question the rationale behind this. Elections were conducted on Monday. In the almost, as far as I am aware, in the 2,790 polling stations, all of the parties had a representative. The PPP had representatives, the PNC had the PNC or whatever they are now called, had representatives. Other parties were represented. Those party representatives participated in the process, signed off on those statements of poll which represent the election result of every one of those polling stations. It is those statements of poll that were tabulated to form the result of the district, and then by extension the entire country. To come now after you are dissatisfied with the results, and the dissatisfaction, I rather suspect, and if I can hazard a guess, is not really with the process. It is not really with the numbers. They are dissatisfied with their performance. And now that dissatisfaction, there's an attempt to translate it to a problem with the process. And that is what I have a difficulty with. I mean, you're entitled to the recount by law. The recount is granted, but holding back, delaying the inevitable is just sad. It's just sad, and you're holding back. You know, this country on Tuesday morning, if you drove, Monday was a national holiday, the streets were quiet. If you drove around the streets on Tuesday morning, the streets were busy, business as usual, right? That says something about our growth as a nation, and to attempt to reverse that growth by now stymieing this process, delaying what is clearly the inevitable, is very unfortunate. And I hope that good sense prevails. We can get this process done. And as I said before the elections, let us all accept the results. It was a very, very properly executed process, and move on with our lives. A
few things I want to follow up on. The first is, you mentioned that the recount today is based on a request from APNU for subdistrict 4 of Region 4, which is East Coast Demerara. How long is that process expected to take?
Well, like I said, it's 391 boxes. There are 25 tables set up. The number of tables tell a story. The number of tables tells a story because it tells about the administration of GECOM's seriousness about getting this process done. They are putting all of the resources necessary. I walked in there just now. All of the senior staff of GECOM, everybody, all hands on deck to ensure that this is done in a quick and timely manner so we can get this process concluded.
Additionally, we've heard from other presidential candidates that they would also be seeking recounts. Can you tell us if those recounts has any request been made?
Up to the present time, I have not been made aware of the receipt of any other requests.
Okay.
I've only seen references to those in the traditional and social media.
And can you tell us about what happens after the recounts are completed?
So, I should say what would have happened if there was no recount. If there was no recount, then the Chief Elections Officer has a statutory duty to tabulate all of the 10 district declarations into a report which includes the calculation of the seats for the National Assembly, seats for each of the regional democratic councils, 10 across the country, and present that report to the Commission for its consideration. And then a declaration is made first of the President and secondly of the seats in the National Assembly. However, that process will now be delayed until the completion of this.
So once this recount is complete, we can expect that process to move forward?
Definitely. That is my expectation.
Okay, finally. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think I've shared everything I wanted to say. Importantly, I am hoping that this process is concluded in as quickly and efficiently as a manner as possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You know, the thing is that with democracy, you may not have to agree with it, but that is the will of democracy. That is the electoral process. So the Private Sector Commission, you know, we've fielded a very healthy and active observer mission over the last week or so. You know, we were around for Elections Day. We stayed for the counting, for the SOPs. We stayed for the tabulation. And, you know, there was, along with everything that the international community said, there were no major issues. There was nothing that would derail the process. There was nothing that would challenge the integrity of the results. Now, obviously, the parties are more than within their right to request a recount, and I'm happy that the chair of GECOM and GECOM themselves are following our democratic processes. So, you know, we're, as I said, we don't have to agree with it, but that is a democratic process, and we're here to support. So the private sector will be observing the recount. We're not really expecting any major issues because, as I said, we were there. We witnessed the party agents from APNU, from PPP, and WIN at all the polling stations, at the counting and at the tabulation, and there were no major issues raised there either. So, you know, as I said, you know, our democracy is live and well. The GECOM systems are working, and the private sector is here to support.